What a disgrace. What an absolute disgrace. I almost didn't talk about this because, to be perfectly honest with you, Keith Olbermann, Keith Olbermann does not deserve your attention. Keithy doesn't deserve the reaction that I'm about to give him. And it's the reaction that he wants because this dude is demented. Not only do I think that Keith Olbermann says these things intentionally, I think he means it. I think he means exactly what he says. This is why freedom of speech is so important. This is why I don't support censoring anyone, because freedom of speech, it gives lonely men like Keith Olbermann the opportunity to show normal people exactly who they are. I think we can all agree that what's happening right now in the People's Republic of California, it's tragic. Now, for those that don't know, there's been devastating wildfires this week in Southern California. I'm not talking about the flaming ass fire like the ones in New Orleans called the Saints and Pelicans. I'm talking about real fires that are destroying the lives of people living in the People's Republic. Over the last few days, I've been seeing a lot of blame thrown around. I have seen several clips featuring the Trumper where he is warning about something like this happening. The Emperor of the People's Republic, Gabby Newsom. Gabby is catching a lot of shit for his policies that potentially limited the amount of water available to the firefighters. I heard something about the People's Republic diverting water into the Pacific Ocean in order to save some obscure species of fish. We must protect the goldfish. They get extremely soggy when wet. Speaking of firefighters, I have seen some people complaining about the hiring practices in the People's Republic. I'm sure you'll be surprised to know that the People's Republic of California, they focus on the qualifications that matter. Real qualifications like diversity, equity, and inclusion. I've seen some old clips of government officials in the People's Republic boasting about their diversity levels. Our prosecutors might suck at fighting crime, but they graduated magna cum laude from Woke U in rainbow economics. One of my favorite accusations from the last few days came from Time magazine. According to Time magazine, climate change played a role in this wildfire. I guess climate change had a devastating impact on the Santa Ana winds. Even though we are currently in a La Nina pattern and the water in the Pacific Ocean is cooling down. At this point, though, the primary concern is getting everyone to safety. When I say everyone, I mean everyone. Democrats, Republicans, legal, illegal, or as deacons at Woke United Methodist prefer to call them, undocumented. They simply forgot their papers, forgot the papers. Male, female, black, white, dog, cat. Right now, the only thing that matters is getting everyone and their pets to safety and finding a way to contain the fire. That's how normal people are looking at this situation. Not Keith Olbermann, though. No! According to Keithy Poo, there are certain people who have lost their homes who deserve it. Why? What was their violation against humanity? They had the audacity to vote for Orange Man Bad! Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. I'm sure most of you guys are familiar with actor James Woods. Every time I see James Woods, I think about two movies. John Q, where he played the heart surgeon that was held hostage by Denzel Washington, and this early 90s movie called Straight Talk, where James Woods was the boyfriend of Dolly Parton, who was pretending to be a psychologist on talk radio. Only reason I know about that movie, my sister, she loved it when we were growing up. But as is the case with most people, James Woods was a proud Democrat until He became a grown-up. He distanced himself from the Democratic Party in the late 90s after Billy Clinton perjured himself during the Monica Lewinsky scandal. For decades, James Woods was an independent, but when deacons at Woke United Methodist injected the woke fungus into the Democratic Party, James Woods became a Republican and one of the few vocal supporters of the Trumper in Hollywood. Unfortunately, James Woods lost his home earlier this week in the California wildfires. One day, he is swimming in his backyard pool with his nieces or his granddaughters. The next day, his house is like the WNBA without Caitlin Clark. It doesn't exist. I cannot imagine what James Woods is going through right now. And it's not just him. I can't imagine what the other thousands of people who lost their homes, I can't imagine what they are going through either. I didn't know this until this week, but a lot of these insurance companies, they refuse to cover homes in the People's Republic. I'm assuming they don't want to take on the risk. I guess they only want to insure houses that aren't likely to file claims. I could bitch about insurance companies all day, but the point is, these modest $2, $3, $4, $5 million homes, which in California, those are considered to be middle-class homes. The people who own them are just like you and me. If they could not find a carrier willing to insure their houses and they lost their home in the wildfire, there is no one to rescue them. They got to start over on their own. It's absolutely horrible. Even though he has been grieving the loss of his home this week, James Woods, he has been making the media rounds. Saw him last night on Fox News, and he was on CNN yesterday morning. James Woods was giving you insight as to what people are going through right now in California. Even though he has nothing in common politically with CNN, this is one of those situations where you put the politics to the side and you empathize with someone, which to their credit, that is exactly what CNN did with James Woods. Watch it for yourself.
When we couldn't get our garage door open because the wind was blocking, because our door goes up like this, I said, oh my God, we're up in the hills here. And we got to walk out. I'm 77 years old, man. I can't walk up these hills. It's like Mount Everest here. It's like, pretty steep. So, it's just, I posted this on X, but Sarah was on with her 8-year-old niece last night. And she came out, I'm sorry, just, one day you're swimming in the pool and the next day it's all gone. But she came out with her little Yeti piggy bank for us to rebuild our house.
Oh my gosh. James Woods, we all hope that you will be able to rebuild your house, maybe starting with that little Yeti piggy bank. And we're just glad that you're okay and your wife is okay.
I'm sorry,
you have your lives. Yeah, no, I mean, this is real and it's raw.
I thought
and
I would
you,
be stronger than this.
You don't need, you are, you know what? Strength is not measured by whether, you hold in crying or not. You have so much strength, and we appreciate you coming on. And also keep us posted on your 94-year-old neighbor and everything going there. We're going to continue to talk, and we wish you the very best.
Okay.
The 94-year-old neighbor that Pamela Brown mentioned towards the end of the clip, he had his life saved by James Woods. And credit to Pamela Brown for the way she handled this interview. Surprisingly, most of the usual suspects in the mainstream media, they have covered this interview with James Woods the same way, with the same grace. Except, of course, Keith Olbermann. Someone named Angela Belcamino, she quote tweeted someone yesterday on Twitter. Angie is a self-described liberal, and she was quote tweeting some anonymous dumbass who was celebrating the fact that James Woods lost his home. Angie quote tweeted this insufferable asshole and said, I'm not a fan of James Woods, but being happy his house burnt down is not the answer. Be better, asshole. Now, Angie did not call him an asshole. I added that myself to correct her. Yesterday afternoon, Keithy Pooh, he was doing what he usually does. He was petting his furry kitties and he was scrolling social media looking for women to repulse. Keithy came across this tweet from Angie, and instead of attempting to end his decades-long streak of involuntary celibacy, Keithy decided to do what he does best, being blocked by women on social media. Check it out for yourself. In the midst of a devastating wildfire, the only thing Keith Olbermann is worried about is an election that happened 2 months ago. In the midst of James Woods losing his house and sharing his experience with CNN, Keith Olbermann is essentially celebrating his loss and claiming that the enemy must be exploited psychologically. What the hell is wrong with you? I hate to break it to Keithy, but the war is over. You lost. America rejected the woke fungus, and I promise you, if Keithy voluntarily left the country as a form of protest to Donald Trump winning the election, I promise you, no one would miss you. I doubt anyone would even notice. How miserable do you have to be? If he wasn't the epitome of evil, I would actually feel bad for Keith Olbermann. I have never seen this aging fossil say anything positive about someone else. I don't agree with Joy Reid, but how many times have I said that I respect the fact that Joy Reid is honest about showing us exactly who she is? I often call Mina Kimes a pretend NFL analyst. I have criticized Mina Kimes for playing the role of the ultimate victim, but I've also credited Mina Kimes for being talented on television. If you are looking for obscure stats, Mina Kimes is your source. I'm constantly making fun of the Yentas on The View, but how many times have I said, I don't think they're bad women? Recently, I have even praised the Whoopee Cushion and the Great Pretender for attempting to be the voices of reason on the show. The point is, I know we cover a lot of people I disagree with. I know we make jokes about a lot of people, but occasionally I do like to point out something positive about them. I have never seen Keith Olbermann do that. This dude is a constant source of negativity, and it's not even critical negativity. It's damn near evil. The thing is, Keith Olbermann, he wasn't always like this. People under the age of 25, they have no idea how great Keith Olbermann used to be. Journalism and communication courses in college, they should make it a requirement to study the media career of Keith Olbermann. They should make their students study his career as an example of what not to do. I don't know where his bitterness comes from. I don't know if it's because he is no longer welcome in the mainstream. I don't know if it's because he kept getting fired and it's caused him to be constantly outraged. I don't know where it comes from. I just know every time I hear about Keith Olbermann, it's a story like this one, where he is celebrating someone's misery, or he is trying to start shit with conservative women on social media who are young enough to be his granddaughter. And have you noticed? Keithy Pooh has run out of defenders. Years ago, people used to try to defend his insanity. Oh, that's just Keithy. He's just lonely and bitter. He hasn't seen the inside of a woman since birth. He doesn't really mean what he says. No, no, no! Now, there's no one left to defend him. Maybe he is still friends with Dan Patrick. I don't know. But when you're this demented, people tend to distance themselves from you. Give me your thoughts on this. James Woods loses his home in the California wildfires and gets emotional while explaining it to CNN. To their credit, Pam Brown handled this interview with empathy and grace, while Keith Olbermann, he celebrated his misery because James Woods voted for the Trumper. Sound off in the comments below. Best way to contact me is through email, btlkc84@gmail.com. I'll see you guys tomorrow.